I'm Michelle Delatour from the Nocturnal.
Hi,
Jessie.
Jill.
Hi. It was
I
great.
love your hat.
Thank you. I wanted to bring a little bit of the show in here. I got
Totally.
microphone, guitar, hat for best. So thank you for recognizing that.
Love it.
Thank you for chatting about this show with me, and thank you and congrats for making such a multifaceted and musical show. I wanted to ask you about the physical spaces in the show because St. C's feels like a combination of Pete's Candy Store meets City Winery in New York, and New York venues are so important to songwriters in New York. How did you guys approach the physical spaces and their importance to songwriters?
Yeah, St. C's. I mean, what a joy to be able to build a club from scratch. And we did pull from, every club in New York and all the research we did. And our brilliant production designer, Alexander Schaller, had a huge imagination, thought of having the murals of Saint Cecilia, who is the patron saint of music, which is why we named it St. C's. So that's one of my favorite spaces. And we were lucky to get all that great iconic rock and roll photography in that space. And yeah, we actually want to open a St. C's in New York. We fell so in love with the place.
I would be first in line to go to St. C's in New York. I really also appreciated the diversity of these characters from their interests to their stories to their background. Can you share a little bit about how your team worked together to kind of make that happen?
Yeah, most of the storylines in the show were pulled from my life or Sarah's life or friends of ours' lives. And we really wanted to tell the true story of the music scene in New York, which is that it's incredibly diverse. And we wanted to be authentic to what that story was. And so, slowly we began to investigate these characters and get the idea of putting Sarah in putting Prisha in an all-female mariachi group. And Bess's storyline sort of was most inspired by Sarah's story, which was she began by just having a guitar player play with her, and then later on had a full band. So that storyline kind of took from that. And then I'm in love with the a cappella groups in the subways, and I've always wanted to do something with that story. So we kind of brought that into Bess's life and, slowly just kind of wove it all together. And then Sarah and I are so passionate about Broadway that we had to honor Broadway with Louis.
I was going to ask you about Louis. How did that storyline develop, and how did you guys incorporate that into this show?
We knew we wanted to have Louis be neurodiverse, and we both have a huge connection in our own lives to that community. So it was important for us to tell that story. And one day we were watching a play together, a Broadway show, Sarah and I, and we were saying, who is Louis? Who exactly is Louis? And at intermission for the play, a man who was sitting in front of us turned around and said, have you seen Rent? I've seen it 265 times. I run a ticket booth out of my house. And I've seen it, and he knew so much minutia about theater. And it was like, there was Louis right in front of us. And he became the inspiration for Louis and truly kind of funneled all of our passion for the theater through Louis. And Kevin is a remarkable actor. He's autistic and was part of a community in Stockton, California, who studied film. And he was the light of the set.
Thank you for sharing about that and for sharing this as a whole. Thank you for your time, and also thank you for your impact on all the greater creative sphere, I would say, from film to TV to here. So thank you, Jessie, for your time today.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Michelle Delatour from the Nocturnal, and thank you for chatting about all things Little Voice, and congratulations on being such a part of such a special show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What was the process like of learning and playing all these original songs for the show? Did you hear recordings? Did you happen to meet with Sarah? How did you approach this?
When we were recording the music and when I was learning, I usually got a tape beforehand, and I worked with a vocal coach, and I also worked with a piano coach to be able to play the music as best as I possibly could, and to sing it as best as I possibly could. And when I would record the music, I would go into the studio with Sarah and her team, and we just take it piece by piece. We take it in chunks, uh, and it was a lot of music in a very short period of time, and I just tackled it with her, and she was so gracious and kind, and gave me the confidence I needed to portray her music as best as I could.
Do you have a favorite song, one that resonates with you the most, or maybe the one that you like to perform the most?
I think one of my favorites, I have two. I think the one song that I love that I resonate lyrically to the most was Coming Back to You. That was a song that um, Colton and I performed in the bar, and there was only like 5 people there. I totally resonated with the lyrics on that. And then I think my favorite to perform and musically, I thought was such a beautiful song that Sarah wrote was Simple and True. I loved performing that.
Your character has some, shall we say, interesting stage banter. Is that was that improv? Was it scripted? Does that resonate with you? Is that how you would speak on stage if you had free will and free reign? How did that work for you?
Oh my gosh. It was all written. And I absolutely identify with the stage banter. I talk a lot and stumble over my words and say the wrong thing. And I'm very honest and sometimes TMI. So yeah, it was close to who I am.
I have one hopefully fun question for you, which is, do you have a favorite canine co-star of all the ones that you've had to interact with and walk and deal with
Oh my
during your time?
gosh. Well, Molly was just incredible, who played Ella, Bess's dog. She drooled so much. But she was so smart, so sweet, so expressive. Like she was literally an Oscar award-winning dog in my eyes. And then there was one really cute dog. It was a golden retriever. I believe it's a golden retriever. But like what's the can of beans? Is it Bush's beans that has the
Yes, yes, it is.
well, I just love her name was Jaja, and I felt like she was just so majestic. I mean, there were so many amazing pups on that job, um, with all their personalities.
Had to
So
ask that question. They looked great. Um, Thank you. Congrats on the show, and thank you for your time.
thank you, Michelle.
I'm Michelle Delator from The Nocturnal. It is lovely to meet you both in this virtual setting, and I'm excited to talk about all things Little Voice. We'll ask you to talk about all things Little Voice. Both of your characters have a unique style and a relationship with Bess. How did you guys kind of find your rhythm and your pacing in that relationship, so to speak?
I hadn't met Brittany until we actually got pretty close to shooting on set, and it which isn't the easiest circumstances. Obviously, you'd always like to be prepped a little bit more, but I was arriving quite late on the job, and it was ultimately just Brittany's generosity that allows you to find your footing in that. I'm sure Colton will corroborate that, agree with me on that. She had such a strong command of everything she had to do anyway, that all you have to do, and she's so powerful, I know that all you have to do really is sit there and support her and let her guide you through it in a way. We just spoke about what mattered to us and what mattered to me about Ethan and what I needed Ethan to portray, because on paper, the situations are quite complex, and you want to do the writing justice by having courage in the convictions that you make on these people. And I spoke to Jessie at length about why he is what he's like, and his really difficult situation with his parents when he was younger, being made an orphan, and what his grandfather has done to make him the man that he is today, with the characteristics that he portrays, and the way that he loves the women that he does. Because all that then lends itself to how he falls in love with Brittany and Bess, and Colton, I'm sure, and Samuel fall in love in a different way, but with the same glorious, brilliant, modest person that her character and as an actress Brittany is.
Yeah, no, I mean, we feel the same way. Team Brit more than Team Ethan, Team Sarah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hate to say, but the thing that comes to my mind is like, it was very much like in a very technical standpoint of us actually shooting. It was very much like The Bachelor. Like we both had our like she would take us away and be like don't worry about any of the other guys. Like this is our relationship, you know. So there was no like compare contrast. It was only by like the final rose that we figured out like you're here too. So no, I mean it was very simple in terms of just letting, like he said, kind of Brittany had all the cards she knew, and she was very generous to give us the time and space to be like, hey, like, you know what you're doing, especially within the relationship of this. And honestly, it was nice because like a lot of love stories, great love stories, both kind of come from also a deep place of companionship or friendship. And they both grow a lot over the course of the show. So a lot of it is just naturally falling into it. I mean, literally just kind of letting go and letting the writing take us where it did. And I think it's
connecting
nicely because of it.